Hi there, my name's Paul Bullion. I play Lambert in Netflix's The Witcher, and I'm here chatting with Elias on the Man Cave Chronicles podcast.
Paul, welcome to the cave.
Hi there, good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. I've been looking forward to this interview. You know, the listeners and viewers can see you on Netflix's global hit, The Witcher. You've done a few other projects as well. But, before we get into The Witcher, which everybody wants to hear about, I want to know a little bit more about you. Like, how did you get your start in the industry?
I always was performing when I was growing up. There was a lot of kind of amateur dramatics kind of shows going on locally. It was something that I really enjoyed. And so when I finished my secondary education, I took it a bit more seriously, and I started doing performing arts full time from the age of 16. And that's when I learned about drama schools in London. And when I was 19, I ended up enrolling in a musical theatre course actually in London. And from there, I got myself an agent, and for the last 11 years now, professionally, been working across theatre, TV, and film, and I've been having the time of my life.
Wow! Now you reside? Do you reside in London, or do you like travel back and forth between places?
No, I'm in London mainly. Yeah, so I've got my base in South London, so this is where I live, and I kind of operate out of here.
Yeah. When you do the traveling, where do you like to go the most? Like, do you like to hit the US and LA, like Hollywood or Vancouver for different places?
So I'm yet to actually work in America, but I have been to New York a few times, and I love New York. New York's kind of like London on steroids. It's brilliant. It's a great place. I love the vibe of the place. I'm actually planning a trip to LA. COVID pending, kind of early 2022. So I'll get a feel for the place, and looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it. I do love working in Europe. I've worked in Budapest. I've worked in Italy, in Croatia. All beautiful places, and very lucky that it's on our doorstep.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to work in Greece yet? That's like the new Hollywood all of a sudden. They're filming a lot of things in Greece.
Yeah,
I'm from Greece. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, really? You're from Greece? Yeah, oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm actually yet to go to. The closest I've been to Greece is Cyprus, but not Greece yet. But it's one of those things. Obviously, in Europe, when it's so close, you end up going, "Oh, I'll get there eventually," and then before you know it, it's been your whole life that you've not visited the place. So no, I will be going. It's on my list.
Yeah. Now I've noticed that you mentioned theater work. You've done a lot of theater work. Where else have you've only performed in London, pretty much theater, or you've done it all over Europe also?
So I did a tour of the Monty Python show Spamalot, my first job out of college, and that was all around the UK. And we also took it to Ireland and over to Italy, strangely enough, which was interesting. They had subtitles, so the laughter was always delayed by about like 5-6 seconds after you give the punchline. But no, I enjoy it. I enjoy traveling around. But yeah, I do feel very much at home in London. I've done shows at the National Theatre, which was kind of a dream come true quite early on in my career. And you get audiences from all over the world going to the National Theatre. So I always enjoyed speaking to the audience members after the show.
Yeah. Was TV and film the goal while you were doing theater, or like how did you decide, okay, you're doing a theater and all of a sudden you want to jump into TV and film?
I never had that conscious thought, really. I've always just ended up going for projects that really interest me and excite me. I knew that the industry was much wider than what I had trained for. Obviously, musical theatre. It's a bit of a strange thing. I find in the UK, you can get typecast a bit if you stick at one kind of discipline, which is very different to America. You seem to find like successful kind of Broadway or musical theatre performers kind of really start getting recognized, and they end up getting their own shows. And you know, for example, if I look at like somebody like quite recent, like Ben Platt, for example, amazing voice, and you see him everywhere. but it just doesn't seem to be working like that in the UK. So I just knew very early on that I had to be open to other opportunities and not just kind of streamline all my focus into one kind of area of the industry. But in saying that, I didn't actively kind of go, I'm just doing TV and film. I'm a 6'3" redhead. I don't fit very many things, but when the right part comes along, I've got a good chance. But it's kind of I suppose just the auditions that came my way. That's not to say that I didn't work hard for it when the audition came, but I just feel like, for example, in theatre, if I was, early on in my career, if I was going up for a lot of ensemble tracks in musicals and shows, I'd stick out like a sore thumb because I am 6'3" with red hair. It's like I don't fit an ensemble a lot of the time, and I've also like kind of had strong opinions about characters and kind of the kind of characters I want to play, and it just so happens that they're in TV and film. But I still very much open to doing theatre.
That's awesome. Now, do you still want to, while you're doing TV and film, do you still go back and do some theatre work? Are you always going to stick with that?
Absolutely. I think it's so, I know it's a cliche that a lot of actors say, but they are, two different disciplines, and they require different types of stamina to be able to do a show 8 times a week, live, retaining all the notes in your head. I love it, and bouncing off that energy that's in an auditorium that's full of people that have paid to see. You can't beat that kind of electric feeling in a theatre. But in saying that, in TV and film, it's very creative in kind of a different way. You can kind of take more risks in the sense that if you make a mistake, you can do it again. But then at the same time, once they move on to the next shot, that's it. You can't change it then. It's out of your hands. And then you don't have control of the edit, unless you're one of the kind of producers on the show as well. Right. You get to that level, but it's so final, and often you watch stuff back and you go, oh, I wish I'd done that differently. And that's the beauty about theatre. You're constantly striving for that perfection, which also never comes, but at least you can try something different the next night.
I've had other guests on where they've done theater also while they're doing the TV and film. And that's the one thing they always say. It's like, yeah, you can screw up a line or two in the TV film, you can redo it. In theater, you better hope, like, if you screw up or something, your other cast member can help you come back from it.
But also, it's also like, good luck, get yourself out of this one, because it's you have to, it keeps you sharp. It really does keep you sharp. I'm often the type of actor on stage. It's like, please give me a prop so I know what I'm meant to be saying. Give me a prop or somewhere to stand. No, I love it. I love the creative process of rehearsing for 5-6 weeks, and I love the long tech days and creating that, and it's escapism for a lot of people, as is TV and film. A lot of people turn on Netflix and they'll binge. The way they watch content now, they can easily binge 8 to 12 hours in a day. You can, if you sit down and watch a film for 3 hours, you go, oh, this is a bit long, but they're happy to watch 8 episodes of something, which I find amazing. And I think people are just looking for escapism, and I love being part of that.
So let's jump into The Witcher. Man, how exciting has this ride been for you? And like, if the guests and the listeners and the viewers know, like, you were casted in this before season 1, but you weren't on season 1. You obviously appeared in season 2. So tell us about that.
It was the casting for season 2, or a lot of the casting for the kind of regular roles in season 2 was done before season 1 was released. So season 1 had been filmed, but we were kind of cast. I think I got the offer like end of November time in 2019, and obviously the show came out in December 2019. So I had the benefit of being able to sit down and watch season 1, knowing that I was joining it, and it was quite an amazing feeling, because I've said before, when I saw that first shot of the swamp and then little fight with the Kikamura, I say little fight, quite brutal fight with the Kikamura in the swamp, I was like, this is great. I can't wait to get involved. And then obviously the journey became quite an emotional one with the pandemic sideswiping production and, you know, closing us down for the best part of 7 months. Netflix made sure they had everything in place to keep everybody safe before we were allowed to go back and film, which they did. I felt very safe, but, you know, that it was then, I always appreciate what I do for a living, but I had a deeper appreciation after 7 months out of, you know, I was allowed out of my house for an hour a day with the restrictions that were in place, and working out in my back garden to make sure I could still fit my costume when I went back. It was all these things. And, you know, I was carrying a lot of bread weight from just baking all the time. So worked hard to get, to keep in shape for when we started up again. And I suppose everybody, you had this energy on set when we went back. It was like, oh, yeah, we get to do what we love again today. And not that you took it for granted before, but you definitely didn't have as deep appreciation as we did when we went back. And then, you know, when you hear the team say that's a wrap, you know, it is such a joyous feel. I've never felt so proud hearing those words as when we heard them on Witcher, because, you know, we've been working so hard through the pandemic to get it done. And yeah, it was an amazing achievement.
Sounds like you had goosebumps.
Oh, absolutely. Because, you know, for me, it was, you know, I've always wanted to do a fantasy series. To play a part like Lambert, you know, was I'd say it was a dream. And then to think that I felt like at times it could have been taken away. You know, the pandemic could have easily halted the production altogether. And, you know, I just thank Netflix for finding a way, because that would have been a hard pill to swallow as an actor. To, you know, you graft and you try for so long to land these different opportunities, and this was an opportunity that I wanted to see to the end. So yeah.
So when you got casted for Lambert, how did you like prepare to play this? This is a huge role, and then, you know, in the books, and you know, you got the TV show, and then now the games also. Like, how do you take your take on it to prepare to play this character?
Well,
like, how much research did you put into it?
Yeah, well, I think it's very important to do the research. So through the auditions, I made sure that I didn't want to get too involved with other versions of Lambert whilst I was auditioning, because whatever I was giving them was working. So I didn't want to interfere with that. I was given the right energy for the part. So once I was cast, I read Blood of Elves, and I read the short stories. And then obviously I had the benefit of watching season 1. To understand the tone that Netflix had created for this, you know, Lauren Hisrick and her team, to get the tone of that. And then obviously there's no getting away from the fact that the games are, you know, extremely popular, and they're absolutely brilliant. So I took it upon myself. I bought Witcher 3 and I started dabbling in that. And it's so good as an actor playing a Witcher to play that game, because it really helps you with the lore. You come across a different monster, it tells you how you can kill it, and, you know, what signs to use. You know, so good. Very colourful game. In terms of Lambert himself, the books, obviously Blood of Elves, it's very clear what he's like in that. Very short-tempered, sharp-tongued, and, you know, hilarious to play in those moments. What I didn't want to do is copy Lambert in the games, because I wanted to avoid doing, you know, an impersonation. So I was there to do an interpretation. I wanted to give Witcher fans something, a different variation, and something fresh, you know. So that's kind of how I approached it, and I wanted to root him in something real, and not just be like short-tempered for the sake of it. So I made him, you know, very insecure. You know, he's very jealous of Geralt, and, you know, and insecure about himself. So he's scared of making genuine connections with people. So that's why he often like shouts down Triss, or, you know, because he's secretly worried about building genuine connections with these people. And in Ciri, he feels threatened by this new energy that's in his home. You know, he likes what he likes, and he doesn't like change. And so that makes people react in the way that Lambert reacts. And it was very enjoyable and colourful to play. I liked it.
How much input did you have to put into the character? Like, did you bounce ideas off the writers and the producers, or how you want to play this character?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's brilliant. I think that's what makes Lauren and her team, you know, so good at what they do, because they are open to suggestions, and there were times where, you know, I might ask to drop a line if I think it could be done with a look rather than, you know, saying the line that was written, or I would change it slightly and say, oh, I think I'd say it more like this, but give the same kind of take on it. And often they'd be up for it. I mean, the worst case, this is what I love about kind of being in a creative atmosphere, and which was very much like that with the directors and the producers. Give it a try. If it doesn't work, we'll do it again. You know,
right.
there's no point in just like shooting down an idea before you've even tried it. You know, so that's kind of how we worked. And you know, and what was brilliant is, you know, I trusted. It could have been easy to get very overwhelmed or nervous about the scenario, but I had trust that the creative team and the producers, you know, knew what they were doing when they gave me the role. So then I've got to have confidence in myself and my own choices, which I try to remind myself every day that I was on set. So yeah, it was great, and I can't fault them in any way. What a brilliant team they are.
I gotta ask, like, how much training did you do for this role? Like for fight scenes or for like the swords? How much sword fighting training did you have to do for this role?
So I've done quite a bit of sword work in the past,
Okay.
but I hadn't done it for a while, and my friend called Jonathan Holby, he runs a company called JH Fight, and he lived down the road from me in London, where I was living at the time. So I said, "Oh, mate, you know, keep it to yourself, but I've been cast in The Witcher," and he was like, "What?" He's like, "Wow, great!" So he's got loads of like training swords and things. So we used to just meet up at the park like early in the morning, and people be walking their dogs, and they'll just walk past us, and we're you know, doing a bit of broadsword and practicing pirouetting with the sword. I just wanted to get the style before I turned up on set, so that, you know, rather than having 10 miles to go, they only had to you know, maybe work with me for a lot less, and I just wanted to get the style. So yeah, we did that, and then it was just about, you know, kind of listening to the fight team and the fight choreographers when you're on set, and adjusting as, you know, as we go. And it's so much fun, like fighting essentially stuntmen in spandex, because it's all CGI, but it's great. So much fun.
How was it with the weather and everything, being outdoors for so long too?
It's very strange, because the scene that sticks out for me is Ciri's training sequence when, you know, Lambert throws her through the assault course, and you know, it's in the snow. But it was August when we did that. It was really warm. It was really warm, and they had all this fake snow everywhere. So that was pretty strange. But then it was pretty cold as we got into the colder months, kind of late October, November time. We went up north. We had to relocate everything to the UK because of the pandemic. So what was meant to be in like places like Croatia ended up being Lake District in the north of England, which is a beautiful part of the world. And it was freezing. It was very cold. So yeah, there was no acting involved there. that was just like roll the cameras, we're freezing. It was it was a beautiful part of the country, and that's a lovely part of the job when you get to go to those places. Especially, you know, for me, I hadn't been outside of London for the best part of a year because of the pandemic, and then I get to go and spend a few days in the Lake District, which was a real treat, albeit confined to, you know, the trailer and then the location. But yeah, it was great.
For the show now, like, what's been like your favorite like Witcher sign?
I mean, there's one that I like that I've seen that I didn't get to do, was the Igni. I just think it's so useful, isn't it? Fire is, you know, so useful to have, and I think obviously Geralt uses it in quite a brutal way against one of our own. So yeah, I think it's quite impactful, and I just think it's cool. It just looks good, doesn't it? Being able to throw fire out of your hand.
One of my favorites has been the one you put the target to sleep.
I
don't know why. It's just something like, yeah, I'm going to put you to sleep.
Oh, but yeah. It's just yeah, and anything that you can frazzle someone's mind with, you know,
right.
You could win any kind of debate if you could do that, I suppose.
Now, overall, like, how was it working with the cast and joining season 2? How do they welcome you into the family?
What I love, again, the casting team, Sophie Holland, the casting team, they they make sure that they cast not only great people for the roles, but they want people that they know will work well together. So there's kind of like it's an art form, I think, casting, and I think it's not just about casting individuals, it's about casting a team, and there's no ego on set. So I just made so many friends and people that were from the top down, from Henry, Anya, Freya, all the way through the cast. They're just like, oh, welcome. Oh, you're playing this character, and you'd chat in the makeup room, and about things outside of work as well. And there's a lot of I found a lot of people had a lot of things in common. There's a lot of us that were musicians, which was a great thing to share. Joey Beatty, for example, obviously clearly an incredible musician. But then you've also got like Basil, who's just an amazing pianist. Who played Eskel, and I play myself, and Anya can sing beautifully, and it was just really nice, like just being around all these creative people, and they were just they that comes from the casting. I think they see people that just want to work in a team, and they get them involved, and so hats off to the casting team for that.
Last question on The Witcher. This has a huge following. How does it feel now, like you being part of this like world and interacting with the fans?
Yeah, it's lovely. I mean, like it still like blows my mind when I'll get tagged in a post and someone's like drawn a picture of my character, or not even necessarily my character, just a picture of me. You go, oh, that's really sweet. I mean, they've taken time out of their day to be creative, and and I think Witcher inspires a lot of people. And so it really is an honor to be part of that title, and I'm committed to it moving forward, whatever plans they have for Lambert. I'm very much committed to it, and I really believe in the show. And yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice to see how people have really warmed to the TV show. I mean, it's still number one on Netflix, and it's been out for a week and it's not going anywhere. So it's just amazing to see how many people are kind of affected by the show, and that's really nice, because I believe that the characters do resonate with a lot of people.
Now, what's next for you, Paul? What's on your 2022 list that you want to accomplish?
2022. So I would like to. Well, COVID pending again. I would like to do a play, return to theatre for a short run, maybe a limited run, maybe do 3 months somewhere, like kind of 5-week rehearsal, and then like a couple of months run. So I'm putting that out there. I'll be actively pursuing different producers to see what's going on, because I haven't done theatre now for, say, about 5 years now, and you can't beat that feeling of opening night. So I'd love to get back into theatre briefly. In terms of film and TV, I can't say what it is yet, but I am travelling to Dublin next year to film another project, and then in terms of Witcher, like I said, I'm committed to the future of the show. And we'll see where they're going to take Lambert in the future.
That's great. Paul, lastly, how can the viewers and the listeners find you on social media?
So I'm only on Instagram. I streamlined all my socials just to one. I used to be on Twitter, but I just found it too much to be doing all the social medias. So I'm on Instagram, and it's just @PaulBullion. So just my name, which is nice and easy to remember.
This was great. Thank you for joining me on the show, and hope you have a happy New Year.
And you, thank you so much for having me on.